Have you ever been the victim of the ultimate betrayal in the name of love? Indeed, I have. The journey I had been on with Elena, one of mutual promises, took a turbulent turn the instant she broke our vows. Her voice was a mix of denial and desperation as she begged, "Please, stop what you're doing and come back home to me. I cannot bear to lose you." But I was determined, that much was clear. Marriage requires the commitment of both, Elena. When one forsakes it, the bond is shattered. If you choose to walk out that door to be with someone unworthy, our union ends. A line drawn, a path diverged from happiness to despair. This plunge into chaos represents the breaking of a formerly unbreakable bond. This is my story of love, grief, and fighting for what's right. Mark Robertson took a seat and tried to get comfortable in the small room. Being a large, strong man, he had trouble fitting into the small space meant for someone much smaller. After sitting on the plane for 5 hours and still having 4 left, he wondered if it would have been better to take a train instead. Still, this trip provided him with a temporary escape from his problems and suffering for a period of perhaps 10 or even 14 months. He reasoned that distance would help sort out the mess he left behind. That's what he trusted his attorney with. After all, she could handle it. He put his head down against the window of the aircraft and closed his eyes, trying to fall asleep even though the memory of the day his happy life fell apart was slowly but surely approaching. That awful day, Mark arrived home from work late. Nothing at all had gone well. Every second was more trouble for him, every thought more sour. His talks and meetings were a complete failure. Wasn't he supposed to be the star? Aiming for the top of the ladder and shooting up. I thought he was supposed to be the best. However, he was so depressed after that day at work that the boss invited him to a late meeting and made an offer of employment that Mark rejected. But he had no choice but to accept it or find another place. He could consider it over for a few days. That made him feel depressed, so he went home to tell his wife Elena about his work situation. It had been difficult to deal with Elena these past few weeks, ever since that party. She was going to blow her top again, but now this. Since that party, Mark's situation at home had become quite erratic. Crazy and confused. Furious with Elena. She alone was to blame, not him. She was the reason behind everything that occurred at the party, not him. Though Mark wasn't typically envious, he found the events involving Elena and that Robert Lindstrom guy at the party to be both terrible and deplorable. Having fun is great, especially when you're drinking, but what his wife and that jerk did at the party in public should have infuriated any husband. During the 2 hours that they spent at the party, Elena spent her time hanging out with that Lindstrom guy and ignoring Mark. She gently dismissed Mark at first, telling him to talk to other guests at the party who he either didn't know or had just met. As the celebration continued, she eventually became irritated and cruel. Her demeanor quickly deteriorated, moving from pleasant to flirtatious to inappropriate. She became more inebriated the longer she stayed with Lindstrom. She stated that she would go with Lindstrom and allow the jerk to treat her however he pleased in front of her husband and everyone else. Mark had never heard of Lindstrom before and had no idea who he was. When Mark emerged from the restroom and saw Lindstrom kissing his wife against the living room wall while many onlookers watched, he had had enough of Elena's antics. Her shirt was off and the jerk was touching her. With haste, Mark dragged his wife away from the man and got in the car to go home. It's anyone's guess why he didn't hit that jerk, but Mark was just ready to get away. Elena was furious, cool as ice, because she felt embarrassed by her husband, not inebriated, during the ride home. Their house had been chilly for 3 weeks. She refused to apologize, labeling Mark as naive and cruel during every altercation. Mark considered them a strong couple, having spent 19 years together. Then she blamed him in an outburst at that party. Mark was hurt and perplexed. He didn't understand why she had done it or why she believed he was at fault. When he arrived home that awful day, he was irate to see Elena smiling and getting ready to leave. "Elena, where to?" "We need to chat, something's up," Mark replied. Elena answered, "Don't wait, I'm going on a date." "A date? With whom? Why are you acting this way?" You've been mean for weeks, and now a date? Mark was perplexed. Alina was angry again and had stopped smiling. I've chosen to find what makes me happy, something fun. It starts tonight with this date, she said with determination. Mark felt a knot in his stomach. A date? With who? Why are you doing this? You've been so harsh, and now this? She had a bitter expression. A guy friend asked me out. We're going to have dinner, maybe dance. I'm doing this for me, Mark. I don't need your say-so or okay. And I don't owe you a story. I didn't make you dinner, but you can fend for yourself. Let's eat in or head out, doesn't bug me, Alina said with a smile. Mark said gravely, is this some kind of joke? Today was hell, Alina, not funny. Hold up, Mark, this is real. I've got a date with Robert Lindstrom. He asked. Yes, I replied. How come? Are you planning to go out with that jerk that you flirted with at the party? Alina, is that the jerk you're abandoning me and our marriage for? Alina's face contorted slightly. It's not about what you think of him, Mark. It's about what I think. And I like him enough to spend time with him. It's got nothing to do with us, so drop that talk. You're my husband, and that stays. I'm just hanging out with a friend. Are you out of your mind? I don't get to say? That's what you're telling me, Alina? I mean so little to you, you just tossed this mess at me out of nowhere? Really? I'm just to take it, you cheating on me without a word? Well, you know what? I'm done with your mess. Weeks of you being mad, throwing fits, blaming me for your wild ways. Now you want to see other guys? No way. I don't get what you think you're doing, but I'm done. A marriage is between two, one walks, it's over. You leave for him or any other guy, and we're done. Quit the drama. You're acting like a kid. I'm going. Don't wait up. And with that, Alina stormed out the door, slamming it after her. Mark was stunned as he stood there and heard the car drive away. His spouse departed to see someone else. His spouse. How did this come to be? Why was she acting this way? Oh no. It was getting dark outside, but Mark didn't realize how long he was standing there. With almost no conscious thought, he descended to the chilly basement, retrieved all of their bags, and carried them upstairs to the spacious bedroom. Upon entering, his heart fell once more. The dark sheets had obvious, disgusting stains on them, and the bed was a complete mess. Taking out his phone, he took numerous pictures of the scene. His marriage had no chance left. After ripping the sheets off the bed, Mark threw them across the room. One by one, he packed the suitcases. After they were packed, he searched for additional bags to fill with his clothes and other belongings. He moved all of the belongings downstairs after organizing the drawers and closet. Turning off, he went to his office and opened the safe. Taking his passport, social security card, and half of the savings papers worth $10, he set down 2 boxes of ammunition and 4 extra clips on the desk before reaching for his gun. He did not bother to lock the safe, he just left it open. Seated at his desk, Mark's hands were trembling. An hour or so later, he made himself start answering calls. Mr. Avery, sorry for calling so late. This is Mark. Is the job you offered still open? Oh, yes it is, Mark. Are you taking it then? I am, sir. I'm in the middle of packing now. I would have waited until morning to tell you, but I've got a lot to do in the next few days. Need to sort out some legal and money stuff. I get it, Mark. Really, I do. Sorry for the rush. I am. You've seen your wife. This won't mess up your marriage. No, sir, it won't. Just need to get things in order before I leave. Saturday's the day, right? Yes, Mark. Early Saturday morning. You've got 4 days of learning in Georgia, then off you go. Will you bring a gun? You can, you know? Yep, sir. I'll have a pistol with me. Should I tell your helper all about it? Yes, Mark. Give all the details. Got it, sir. Do you need me in the office this week? Yes, Mark. Friday at 1 for your final talk. Plan to stay till around 8. Can you do that? Yes, sir. That works for me. Mark, your wife. You sure this won't mess up your marriage? No worries, sir. All good on my end. Great, Mark. This job means a lot to us. Really, I can't think of anyone better for it. Thanks, I'm happy to do it, Mr. Avery. This might be the toughest thing I've ever done. Good night, sir. See you Friday. Mark's next call was to Lillian Prescott, an old school pal and his family lawyer. Hey, Lillian, it's Mark. Am I bugging you? Got a minute? Mark, what's wrong? You sound off. What's up? I'm, leaving Elena. Divorce. I'll be gone for most of it, so I need someone I trust to handle things. Can you help? I know you're friends with Elena, but I really need you, please. Oh, Mark, of course I'll help. Tell me what you need. When can you meet up? How about tomorrow? I've got bank stuff first thing, should be free in 2 hours. Anytime after 10, how's lunch at 11 sound? Marie's? You can tell me everything, then we'll head to my office. That work? Yes, thanks. See you tomorrow. Thanks, Lillian. Be smart tomorrow, Mark, okay? I will. See you tomorrow night. His next call would be difficult. He needed to explain the situation to Abby, his only child. At the age of just 18, Abby was a junior at Berkeley. She had always been the best in her class, had gotten into Berkeley on a full scholarship for her master's degree, and had skipped some grades. He anticipated her reaction to this news. Hey, kiddo, it's Dad. I was waiting for you to call, Dad. Thought it would be sooner. Oh, why is that, Dad? I know what Mom is doing this evening, and why, and I know that she said, far away. You follow her instructions. We have been discussing this for months. Talked about what? Dad, you were aware. She is free to choose to dissolve our marriage on her own, listen. Dad, are you chatting about that? It's being overdone by you. This isn't the old times, so calm down. Mom doesn't need to talk to you about her decisions. Dad, she doesn't owe you an explanation, nor does she need your permission to hang out with other guys. Being married is no longer a factor in her decision to see someone else, even for women of all ages. It's about making the most of life. Today, getting married doesn't stop that. All marriage is about is sharing resources, such as money. The idea that a couple should only be together for life is absurdly absurd. Whoa, am I learning about love from a child who has never experienced a real relationship? You are, indeed, Dad. It's time to go on. Really, marriage is so archaic these days. Women shouldn't feel as though they are a man's property. Her dad was upset and asked Abby firmly, "Where are you getting these ideas, Abby?" School? She answered, "Not really, I felt this way before school." Though she loved him, Abby told her dad to stop interfering with her mother's life. Her dad had caused a stir at a party when he saw her mother with another man. Abby said her dad should stop bothering her and that her mother had every right to do so. Are you crazy, Abby? Do you know what you're saying? Why can't I have a say in our marriage? Her dad asked. Abby adamantly stated that her mother, not him, makes the decision. Abby was on her mother's side. She thought her mother ought to enjoy herself without her father's criticism. Abby had obviously taken a stand. Her father was angry and felt unheard. He switched off his phone, not out of sadness but with rage. After that, he went online and canceled his wife's credit card since she could live with her own. While at their house, he made changes to his online stuff. He used their joint savings to make online bill payments. He paid and then withdrew half of the remaining savings into his personal account. He handled the checking account in the same way. Then he updated his email as well. He left their house alone because it was nearly paid off. He had to approve it before she could sell it or take out a loan against it. For now at least, she could continue to pay for it until the divorce decreed otherwise. No worries there, they owned their cars in full. He switched off his PC, gathered all the cables he required for it, his phone and tablet, and packed them all. He needed the tax documents and all of their money, so those were the last things he took from the office. He needed 60 minutes to pack his car while maintaining visibility through the windows, and then he set off. He shut the door, but he neglected to lock it. He didn't care about anything left behind because it was no longer his place. Instead of searching for a hotel close by, Mark drove 40 minutes away, discovered a reputable establishment by the highway, booked a room, and brought everything he needed inside. He would spend 4 days there. It was useless to leave things in the car, but he couldn't sleep. Thoughts of Elena and Abby's words kept repeating in his mind. He dressed and left his room with his briefcase at 5 in the morning. Mark returned home to investigate a possible story he had heard. The time was 6:10 a.m. Elena's car had vanished from both the garage and the driveway when he arrived. The lights were on inside and the front door remained unlocked. Okay, Mark always believed that you should follow through on your decisions once you make them. He just couldn't figure out the paths that Elena and Abby had chosen. They didn't seem to care that they were harming him and the family. That was their fault, then. It was his decision to make what was best for himself. No matter how painful it was, there was no going back now. He was through. Entering the house, he removed his wedding ring and placed it next to the coffee maker before making his final exit. He arrived at the bank as soon as it opened. After confirming that his funds had been transferred, he shut his account and left with a check. Even though he had lost some CDs, he also took them out because he didn't see the need to keep them. Mark then opened a new account at a different bank, using Lillian's office as his point of contact. Then he sold his car at the dealership. He made a loss, of course, but he was moving on and no longer needed a car. He made a quick call and was able to secure a weekly rental. The money from the car sale was then transferred to his new bank account. He then went to Mario's, where Lillian was waiting for him. He told her everything about the party, the weeks that followed, and last night once they were seated. Lillian was obviously pissed off because they didn't stay for lunch. Mark continued to not eat. They headed straight to Lillian's office, where he handed her some paperwork and a check so she could get to work on the situation. So, you think Abby is pushing Elena to do this? To be honest, it feels like it's all coming from Abby. She said she's been talking to Elena about this for months. I just can't believe it, Lillian. My daughter and my wife are being mean to me. Why? I don't get it. Elena didn't drop any hints, didn't say anything about how she felt before that party. Nope, all good until we got to the party. We were all laughs and songs in the car, but the moment we walked into that house, she left my side and stuck with this guy Lindstrom the whole time. I'm not sure if she even knew him before. She's been really mean for the last 3 weeks. Every time I tried to talk, it turned into a big fight. Then last night, man, you should have seen her face when I was leaving. It's okay, Mark. I'm here for you. What do you need from me? Thanks, Lillian. I want a divorce. I went to the house this morning at 6:10, she wasn't there, so yeah, divorce. Cheating if we can prove it. Do you know someone who can help get evidence? I do. It'll cost you, Mark. I don't mind. I want to make her pay. She cheated in our bed, probably with Lindstrom. I can't be sure though. How do you know, Mark? Mark showed his phone to Lillian, skipping some missed calls from Abby and texts from Elena, and showed her the photos of their bed. Lillian didn't like what she saw. What else do you need from me? I need to change my will. I'm cutting Elena and Abby out. It must be solid, and I want you to make decisions for me. You're the only one I trust, Lillian. Can you do that? I can, she spoke gently. Mark, if she did this in your house, it's likely not her first time. Girls don't bring guys home unless they feel safe with them. Mark just shrugged. Let's set up the house with mics and cams. That's doable now, right? Yeah, I know a guy. Just need the house key and any alarm stuff. Mark slid his key off his ring and handed it over. Did you see your texts yet, Mark? Nope, haven't checked. Give them a look now. The first message popped in at 10 p.m. the night before. Alina, hey Mark, won't be back tonight. Oh, and you might want to switch out the sheets or not, up to you. Then came another at 4:30 a.m. Alina, decided to stay the week with Robert. Don't bother calling. I want to do this. Don't get in my way. And the latest, just half an hour ago, Alina, we'll talk when I'm back Sunday, if I'm not too wiped. Move to the guest room. Don't want you and the master anymore. That's for any guests I bring. Damn it, Mark muttered. What's up, Mark? He sent the texts to her. Looks like your guy has the week to work on the house, but I should probably be there just in case any neighbors notice. We can head over tonight. Won't take long. I'll call him. Going to reply to her? No point. What about your messages? Those from Abby? Mark just shrugged. No messages. Just missed calls from Abby. Your house, Mark. Heard you sold your car this morning. Yeah, I did. Was going to leave the house to Alina, let her pay it off, live there. But not anymore. Screw it. She can buy me out or we sell. Don't care which. I'm not handing her anything on a platter. I want to take back whatever I can. Can't promise anything, Mark, but if we get enough on her for cheating, courts might side with you on splitting stuff up. And there's this Lindstrom guy. We can go after him or anyone else for wrecking love. If he works with her, we'll sue their boss. I've got this for you. I'll handle it all while you're gone. Show me you really want them to pay, and they will. I need to know this isn't just you being mad for a moment, Mark. It's not. You've known me for years, Lillian. You know I mean it. Make them pay. Lillian looked at her old friend. This wasn't just a quick temper, he was in for the long haul. Done, Mark. I'll have the papers ready for you to sign tomorrow. It might take a week to serve her, though. We need time for videos and soundproofing. That's okay. I won't be here. Just do what's needed, Lillian. You planning to tell Alina and Abby you're leaving? No. I don't see why they need to know my moves. Alina might see it as you leaving her for good and fight back, throw the cheating in her face. I don't have to stay and watch, do I? No, I've got a good reason to leave now. You do. Who do you want to leave your stuff to, Mark? Mark shrugged. Don't care, Lillian. Pick someone or something that would bug Alina and Abby. Give it to the Republicans. Make sure it sticks. Lillian chuckled. That'll definitely bug them. Then do it. Okay. I need to start on this. See you at your place at 5. Yes, I'll be there. Alina sat at her desk, yawning again. That young guy had kept her up all night. The sex was great, way better than with Mark. She briefly wondered why it was so much better with Robert. After their afternoon fun at her place, Alina wasn't with Robert just for his looks. He wasn't as big or as good in bed as Mark, but being with him felt new and wild. It felt wrong in a thrilling way, just like Abby had said it would. Alina was glad she went for it. Staying with Robert for a week, she thought this might be the most fun she'd had since her wedding. They decided not to be seen together at work to avoid gossip. Alina didn't want her boss knowing she was seeing someone she managed. That would cause big trouble. Abby, her daughter, surprised her with her bold ideas. Alina was proud. She wouldn't have thought to do this without Abby's push. She felt that Abby was right about women being free to live as they wish. Mark would just have to get used to the new Alina, that was that. Alina looked at Abby's messages again. Abby, hi Mom, hope you're having a blast. Just talked to Dad, it went as expected. He hung up on me, he's mad and moaning. Don't be shocked if he's not at home for a bit, he does this. He'll come back though, where else can he go, right? Just have fun with your guy, love you. Abby tried calling Dad today, no answer, his phone is probably off. No worries, he needs time to get used to things. Alina got a message that made her frown. It was odd for Mark to turn his phone off, he always had it on for work. She knew he wouldn't text back. What could he say? That he was mad at her? That was his issue, not hers. It didn't matter much now. She'd stay with Robert this week, then end it with him after Sunday. Sure, she and Mark had been together for 19 years, that was a long time. But she didn't want to lose Mark. She really loved him, as Abby had said. Mark needed to think differently, but Alina would stick with him, even if he didn't change. Why? He was kind, took care of her, was good in bed, and a great dad. Alina knew she wouldn't find someone like Mark again, so she'd keep him. She'd still see other men if she wanted, but wouldn't leave Mark for good. She had missed him a lot these past 3 weeks. She missed his smile, laugh, voice, and touch. But she needed to do this. Alina needed space to enjoy this fling. Abby was right again, that girl was really wise. Alina yawned and smiled. Wow, Robert was amazing in bed. Later, Mark met Lillian and her detective at his place in just 1 hour. The man put in tiny cameras and mics where Mark said to. They hid the recording device in the garage with a very fast web router. All was ready. The detective would park nearby and gather all the video and sound each day. Mark and Lillian decided to have dinner in a quiet place. Mark didn't want to eat much. What will you do tonight, Mark? She asked. I guess head back to my hotel. I'll just drink alone in my room, might as well. Who knows when I'll get this chance again. Do you think you and Alina can fix things? Lillian wondered. No, Lillian, it's over. I can't live the way she wants, and I sure can't accept what she's doing now. The party, maybe I could have gotten past that if Alina had a good reason. But this? No way. What about Abby? You sound like you don't want her as your daughter anymore. You know you can legally do that here, just need to tell the court. Is that what you really want? I don't have solid proof, just what she told me. But I believe she pushed Alina to do this. Alina wouldn't have on her own, you know it. Abby. I can't stand what she's saying. She must be leading all this. So yes, if she thinks so low of me, then she's not my daughter. I don't know Abby anymore, but I sure don't like her now. And I won't give her money. What do you mean? I put money in Abby's bank each week for whatever she needs. It's a good amount to keep her set, no worries about cash. But I'm stopping that tomorrow. I'll change my pay and insurance at work. Abby can get a job or Alina can pay for her insurance and all. I won't fund someone who's trying to tear my life apart. You know you could also take Abby to court for making Alina go away from you. You could do it if we catch her in the act. Yeah, and get what? She's broke, a judgment? Mark just shrugged. So, what's that worth? Well, she can't buy big stuff then, like cars or house. No credit cards or loans either, not even for school. It'll stick until she pays off where you drop it in court. She's an adult here, so you can sue her. She doesn't need to be here for it. Huh, okay. If you find enough proof, then let's do it. She should learn actions have consequences. I'm worried about you, Mark. Where you're going, what you're doing, it worries me. I've made a promise I don't back out. The company needs me, unlike my ex-family. That must mean something, right? Yeah, I guess. Just don't do anything silly and get hurt. I don't think I could deal with losing you. You've been my best friend for almost 20 years. Mark smiled. They met in college and clicked right away. I'll come back to see you, at the very least. Maybe then we can dance. Ha, you've owed me a dance for nearly 20 years. Maybe I should cash in before you go. No, that might be bad luck. Wait till I'm back, and I promise we'll dance. I'll hold you to that, Mark. Mark laughed. One more thing, what about your extra clothes, storing them? I guess so, I hadn't thought about it. My place? I'll keep what you need to store. I've got the space, really amazing. That eases my mind, plus it means. I'll see you again, Lillian laughed. Mark didn't do as he said to Lillian, he didn't get wasted. Sure, he drank, but just a bit, enough to make his heart hurt less and enough to help him sleep all night. When he woke up, he saw he missed some calls from Abby. She didn't leave any messages, but there was one text, Abby, you're not picking up. Dad, you have to stop acting like a kid and face that things are different now. You're just making it harder on yourself, and I don't want you to be hurt more than you need to. This change is going to be tough, but please, Dad, accept things as they are with you and Mom. Talk to me, I help Mom see things differently, and I can help you too. I want to help you. Let's talk. Mark frowned reading Abby's message. She didn't want me to get hurt? Really, she helped her mom think differently? There it is, now he knew for sure who made Elena change. Mark set his phone to buzz and took a shower. Then he sent Abby's text to Lillian and got a big breakfast. He went from the hotel to work first to the HR office. He made all his changes but had to answer many questions from Nancy Baker, the head of HR. He got fed up and said it was not her place to ask. Nancy was shocked by his reply and kept quiet. She did tell Mark that his kid's money was sent for this week, but it was the last time Abby's health and life cover would go on till the end of the month, then stop. His money for this week would still go to the old account, but next time it would go to the new one. He got a note from her with his pay details for the month before leaving. Mark stopped and looked at Nancy. I'm sorry, Nancy. My wife and I are done. It's not because I'm leaving for work, she's with someone else, and my kid is on her side. Died. My ex can pay for our daughter now. I shouldn't have snapped at you, though. I'm sorry. Nancy stood up and hugged him tight. Oh my God, Mark, that's so sad, especially now. If you need anything, just tell me, you know how to find me. Thanks, Nancy. You won't talk about this, right? I'll only tell Mr. Avery if he really needs to know, okay? Mark nodded, smiling. Thanks. I'll be back on Friday afternoon. See you Friday, he said, getting a hug before he left. Then he went to see Lillian, who had all the papers ready for him to sign. An hour later, he was out the door with a promise from Lillian to hang out with him on Friday until he went to bed. Next up, he bought a new phone. His old one was no good for where he was going, but he kept the same phone number. Why change it? Abby sent him 2 texts that day. They said the same thing as before. He just sent them on to Lillian. He wasn't going to reply to Abby or Elena, not now. Maybe Monday. The week went fast for Mark, so did the briefing. His company was taking a big risk, and Mark was kind of proud they trusted him with this big job, but he didn't see how they could get it all done in 10 months. He said 14 months would be tough, but they told him that was the most time he could have. Mark just nodded. What else could he do? His phone buzzed 5 times during the meeting. It wasn't Lillian, she had her own ringtone, so it must be Abby or Elena. He didn't bother checking. Later with Lillian, he finally looked at his phone, showing her the messages. Once upon a time in a not-so-far-away land, Mark handed Lillian a piece of magic paper. He spoke with a hopeful twinkle in his eye. I will give more coins for your messenger to say these words when they deliver the news. Try to find them together in a place full of people, maybe where they take their breaks or in the office where they talk about work things with care. Lillian took the paper and read the words Mark wished to be transformed. Her task was to keep the story's essence, but to tell it in a way that was easier for all to understand. And so, she began her work, thinking of how to weave this tale anew. Alina, this trick you're trying to pull, are you out of your mind? What are you aiming for? Lillian could hardly believe her ears. I'm not sure, Lillian. Show her. Take everything from her. You can count on that. Mark sent that message over to me. He did so, and the next message was from Abby. Abby, Dad, you've got to stop this. It's getting old. Just listen to Mom and get over it. You're lucky she still wants you, and I don't get why you're not acting like the caring husband you say you are. Pick up when I call. Abby, fine, Dad. You want to be moody, go ahead. I tried. It's all on you now. Mark shared these with Lillian too. When will you let them have it, Mark? Pretty soon, I think. Alina's bringing this guy home, so we'll have sound and picture for Sunday. That should give us a start, right? That sounds like a plan. Call me with news, and call me before you let them have it. I might be far away then, but I can still reach out from anywhere here. I have something for you, Mark said, then handed her a sheet of paper. Lillian read it carefully, preparing to weave her tale in the simplest yet engaging way, hoping to bring a touch of light to the heavy task ahead. Yeah, I like that better, Lillian said with a giggle. No, Mark, this one's on us. Come Saturday. Mark hit the airport at 4:30 in the morning. Going through security was a real hassle, and Mark was all nerves about his pistol tucked away in his bags, hoping it would end up in Georgia. Okay, the flight went smoothly, and he dozed off for most of it. When he landed, 2 uniformed folks were there to meet him. One was a big guy, all muscle, with small eyes and a tight-lipped smile. The lady standing with him was tall and straight as an arrow, her dark hair slicked back, and a serious look on her face. Her eyes were deep, almost black, scanning everything. Mark guessed she might be Native American, but he couldn't be sure. The woman walked up, the muscle man right behind her. Mr. Robertson? Mark reached out to shake her hand. She had a firm grip. Yes, and you are? I'm Captain Maggie Dumbarton. The big guy behind me is Sergeant Peter Elliott. We're here to take you to your training place. Got any bags? Yes, I do. Brought your pistol, I hear. Yes, I really hope it's here. I'm quite fond of that pistol. Captain Dumbarton didn't say a word, just turned and led the way to where the bags come out. The sergeant lingered a bit, whispering, "You'll warm up to her. She comes off cold, but she's top-notch. Lucky to have her. Call me Pete when it's just us." It's all good. Mark and the sergeant had to move quickly to keep up, but catching her meant running, and Mark wasn't feeling that. All of Mark's bags made it, and the one with his pistol was wrapped up in all sorts of tape. Getting to the gun meant ripping all that tape off. He really hoped it was still in the case. So what's the plan, Captain? I start training today, right? He looked at her as. She glanced back, then ahead again. Yep, Mr. Robertson. We've got about 45 minutes to get to the base. Once there, you'll get your own room, then off to the shooting area to see how you do with your gun. Today's light, just 300 shots, then you clean it. Next, you learn the M4 rifle, another 300 shots, and a cleanup. If I'm happy, we eat dinner. That's when you'll meet the team. Her voice was nice and sharp, though. Sounds good. I was scared you'd make me run miles or something. She gave him a look like he'd said something dumb. Want to run 12 miles? Just say the word. No thanks. Not big on running or driving. Got it, she said, all business. No runs, no drives. Great. Mark whispered. The sergeant laughed a bit behind him. The ride felt like forever. No one wanted to talk in the back. Mark nodded off. Why not sleep when you can, right? The room he got was nicer than expected, a bed area, a spot to sit, and a small bathroom with a shower. No TV or radio. He got the internet password but was told not to watch anything bad on the military network. He wasn't pleased but just nodded as he opened his case with the gun. The captain watched closely. "You've got too much stuff," she said with a frown. "Why?" "I was told I could bring 150 pounds. Do you have 150 with you?" "No, it's 135 pounds. She clicked her tongue. "You only need 66 pounds. Maybe I should check your bags." "No thanks. I'm not okay with someone I don't know looking at my stuff. I have what I need, and I'm under the weight limit." "Why are you upset?" "Who's going to carry all this?" "Looks like it's on me," he guessed by her question. "Can you carry 135 pounds the long way?" "How far?" "Maybe 40 or 50 yards. "And how long?" 30 seconds. "No way, not even in a cab." "You're kidding, right?" "Nope." "Well, that's bad." Just then, his phone rang. As he took it out, he accidentally hit the loudspeaker button. Lillian started talking fast. "Mark, it's Lillian. Listen, Alina returned home with her new guy a day early, 3 hours ago. My friend was nearby checking on something and saw it all live. They went straight to the bedroom, and Alina freaked out seeing your stuff gone, but they quickly got busy all over the house. She's talking to Abby now and wants to call you soon. Alina is mad you left and wants her guy with her when she calls so you can hear." "Wait, Lillian, you're on speaker, and I'm not alone." "Oh no, why didn't you say so?" Mark's face turned bright red as the captain simply looked on. His face felt so hot he thought it might melt. He struggled with the phone until the captain took it and turned off the speaker. "Thank you," he said, his cheeks still flaming. The captain looked away, but she could still catch the chat. Yes, Mark, so sorry." "You good?" "Yeah, it's okay, Lillian. Don't sweat it. Got enough for a cheat case?" "Sure do. My guy got the other man's car number too. Got all we need on him. I'm hitting the court first thing Monday, Alina. This Lenderson fellow will get their notice, maybe at the same time around 10:30 on Monday. Going after the company too, this Lenderson guy works under Alina, so they're both in hot water." "Okay, great. And what about Abby?" Sorry, Mark, Alina had her on loud. We got Abby in the mix too, she even said it was all her plan. Looks like your mess with Alina is all for a school thing Abby's doing with others. Abby's loud about you not helping, thinks she'll fail because of it, and is real mad. Fine, serve her too. I'll cover the trip and all that. Can we take the school to court? That I don't know. Got to talk to someone in California. But Mark, it's California, expect it to be a mess. Try though, their crazy school projects wrecking homes nonsense, crush them Lily, and torch that damn school. I'll do my best, Mark, but this will sting. You got to pick up when Alina rings. Can you tape the call? No, Lillian, clueless on doing that. Why should I listen for the pain and the shock? Mark, it's all part of the deal. Are you messing with me? He whispered, mad. I got to hear some jerk mess up my life to show I'm hurt? That's crap. I'll send you a voicemail if she leaves one, that's it for me, Lillian. Just end this thing, okay? I'm sorry, Mark. Don't be mad, okay? I could never be mad at you, Lillian. Got to go, looks like I need to shoot at something. What? Bye. Mark ended the call, face all hot. Sorry about that, Captain. No need to say sorry, Mr. Robertson. Bad stuff hits us all, but we didn't know you came with heavy stuff like this. Didn't tell anyone, Captain, but I don't mind telling you. I think I need to know, Mr. Robertson. I'm in charge of keeping you safe for a year or so. Need to know where your mind's at. You get me? Yeah, I do, really. You're with me for a whole year? Yep, with the team you'll meet later. Mark showed her his phone after giving her the lowdown he'd given Leland. Alina's my wife, Abby's my kid. Read the text to catch up. Huh, the captain muttered, this is the wow. It's all for your kid's school thing. She's pulling the strings on this. Looks like it. This needs your focus and a lot of your time. That caller, Leland, she's my lawyer, know her since my first college day, best friend. She's got my power of attorney, handling it all for me. My main thing is finishing this project. That's it. Just got to email my daughter tonight and my wife on Tuesday, then I'm done. What's your plan for your daughter, if you don't mind? I've legally cut her off and stopped all cash. She's her mom's problem now. Well, Mr. Robertson, you're tougher than I thought. I like that. I only did what I had to do. Like you said, no time for nonsense. They chose, so they deal with it. Ready to shoot, I feel like I need to. Captain Dumbarton laughed. I bet, Mr. Robertson. Drop the mister, call me Mark, or don't call me at all unless it's something formal. Sorry, just in a mood. Got it, Mark? Better call me Maggie when it's just us. Deal? Mark chuckled. Deal. The place to shoot was simple, just an open spot with still targets. Sergeant Elliot told Mark the rules of safety and gave him ear guards and many bullets. Captain Dumbarton showed Mark what to do. You'll use your own gun so we see how good you are. We'll stop you to fix any bad moves. Your target is right there. Shot with it much? Yeah, going to the range chills me out, so I go lots. Must have shot 1,000 times with this one. The guys there help a lot, so I hope I do okay. All right, fill your magazines, then keep the gun safe and not ready till we say start. Now, Mark filled his 4 magazines fast and did as the captain said, ready to shoot. Once he began, he quickly found his usual flow. No one stopped him. Very good, said the captain. You were trained well, your shots were close together just as you aimed. But I have to ask, why did you hit the face, throat, and groin more than the heart? Mark just shrugged. I learned to aim for parts that would end a fight fast. It's a habit now. Did you use the gun sights? The captain asked. No, I point and shoot. I think I can't use sights now. I see the gun as a finger pointing at my target, Mark replied. Smart and useful for handguns, that's best. But with the M4 rifle, you'll need to use sights. Let's try 15 yards now. At 15 yards, Mark's shot spread out a bit more, but he didn't miss. Now 25 yards, the captain said. This distance was hard for Mark. He never practiced with his pistol this far, so his shots were all over the place. They stayed until all the ammo was gone. As expected. You brought a 1911.45 ACP pistol, not made for long shots, and it shows. You've not learned to adjust at this range. We'll work on that. Clean your pistol well and fast, the captain instructed. Mark cleaned his gun as he usually did, not knowing he was being timed. When he showed the pistol to the captain, he was suddenly hit by a cloud of sand that Sergeant Elliot threw at him. What the heck? Why'd you do that? Now I got to clean it all over again. That's right, Mr. Robertson. Dust and sand are going to be big troubles where you're heading. Better get used to it. Mark was ticked off, muttering under his breath. You sound like the nagging women in my life. Captain Dumbarton just laughed. Well, as of this morning, count me as one of those women. I'm one of 2 who really matter now. Get that pistol cleaned quick. You can pick up the pace, can't you? Caught him slacking 2 times. The third round of cleaning his 1911, he kept it under cover from prying hands. Shooting the M4 was fun, but cleaning it was a nightmare, what with Sergeant Peters always messing with him. By the end, Mark was steaming. Captain Dumbarton being upset over how slow he claimed didn't help his mood a bit. He was grumpy heading into the mess hall for dinner. I don't usually eat here since I'm an officer, but this platoon, it's special. It's all for you. We've got 44 soldiers here split into 5 squads. Normally, a lieutenant would lead, but I'm in charge for this mission. Captain Dumbarton introduced Mark to everyone in the platoon. He was good with faces, but remembering all of them was a tall order. The food was terrible. Mark somehow managed to gulp it down with a grin, but he wondered if this was his diet for the next year. Alina must have gotten sidetracked since she didn't call him that day. That night, back in his room, he sat down to write an email to Abby. He had no clue how often she checked this email, but it didn't really matter. She'd read it or she wouldn't. He started without any greeting. This is the last time you'll hear from me. I don't have to tell you what I've been up to, but I'm not like you or your unfaithful mom, who I'm married to. I've made it legal to cut you off and take you out of my will. It's all done. You're not my daughter, my only kid, or my heir anymore. We're not family by law now. You made it, and I'm done with you. I couldn't stop it in time, so you'll get the last bit of money from me this week. And you should know I've taken you and your mom off my company's insurance plans. By the end of the month, you won't have health or life insurance through me. Not my issue anymore. Find a job and see what life is really like. I don't get why you did what you did to us, and especially to me. I hope you're happy with what's happening. If not, it was all for nothing. I can't believe I had a hand in bringing you into this world. Obviously, I'm divorcing your mom. That's already happening. Don't call, text, email, or look for me. You won't find me. You and your mom made your choices. I've made mine. Mark wasn't happy with his message, but he was too tired to care. Whatever, he thought. It's fine. He sent the email and CC'd Leland. He got no response from Abby, but Alina was a different story. Her first text came late on Sunday. Alina, where are you? I said I wanted you home today. Where are you? Rob is here to see you. You better come home now or I'm calling a lawyer. Don't push me. Mark, home now, then early Monday. Alina, have you lost your mind? You're divorcing me for cheating. Is this a bad joke? Why did you embarrass me at work? Why not call or come home? There's no reason for a divorce, Mark. You can't tell me what to do. I have my rights. No need for dumb lawsuits against Robert or my business. Just stop it and come home now, right away. An hour later, Alina, have you gone totally mad? You kicked out our girl. What's gotten into you, trying to push me around to get what you want? It won't work, Mark. Cut it out. Stop it now before it's too late. You're not like this. Late Monday afternoon, Alina, hope you're happy now, jerk. I got fired today, so did Robert. Why go after him? He did nothing wrong. You'll pay for this, jerk. I hate you. Hours later, Alina, come back. Mark, please, let's fix this. It's just a big mix-up. Come and let's talk. Let me show you. I don't want to lose you. Please come back. I love you. Let me clear things up. You're making this a bigger deal than it is. Please stop and come back to me. Mark shared the texts with Captain Dumbarton to keep her updated. At least, then he sent all the messages to Lillian. They didn't talk until later that night. Hey, Lillian, crazy day, right? Lillian laughed. You can't even imagine, Mark. We still got our cameras up, so it's been quite the drama at your old place. Alina can't make up her mind between yelling and crying. She thinks it helps. And her new guy, he's just hoping to get close to her again. What a joke he is. And Abby, she got my email. Any news? Well, I went ahead with filing that lawsuit against her too. One of my guys is on it. Abby should get the papers by tomorrow morning. Best if it happens in her class. The school is also in trouble. They'll be hit first, and they know it's coming. Your court fight against the school, it won't win, but here's the scoop, Abby's task didn't need her to do what she did. That was all her and her pals. They made up the task and did it without their teacher checking it first. Sure, the teacher has some blame, but suing the school won't work. What will hurt them is the bad talk about them. What will happen is Abby and her pals will lose any free school money they had. That's already been settled and kept hush between the school and me. Abby's schooling is fully paid by the school, so without that, she's out unless she can find money. She can't. Your legal action means she can't get other help or loans. That's what you wanted, right? Yes, that's good. You good, Mark? Yeah, I am. I think they keep me so busy here, I don't have time to worry. Tomorrow might be different. Guess I'll feel it all then, Lillian. I'll let Elena know she must talk to you for everything. Ready for that? Lillian laughed. Bring it on. Let her come with her lawyer. We'll do. Thanks for it all. I'd be alone without you. Hey, Mark, you know I got love for you, right? Not the wedding type, but it's strong. Maybe when you're back, you can try for the wedding type. But no, I'm here for you always. I know. Hey, think about taking a break and joining me there for a bit. How about that? Lillian laughed again. No way, cowboy. I need my sand to be by the ocean. Make that happen, and you have a deal by Tuesday morning. Mark had his bags packed and was ready to leave. He had to leave Georgia for a military job. Just before going, he texted Elena and Lillian. Elena, you need a lawyer. Get one. Meet Lillian with your lawyer and bring your daughter too. She should be with you when you meet. Lillian can make decisions for me. Don't ignore her. I'm leaving the country, won't be back soon. What Lillian does or says comes from me. You and I are splitting up. It's your problem if you don't have money or a job. You're on your own. I wish things were different, but you and your daughter made choices. Deal with them. Abby had just sat down, feeling sleepy. She had been up all night because of an email from her dad. Her mom was no help. Abby was mad at her dad. Can he just cut her off like that? Was that even allowed? She didn't know, but it didn't matter. She was ready to fight. Her dad was wrong to blame her for his problems. She'd prove it. As her professor began the class, two people walked in. One was the dean, the other was a young woman in normal clothes. They talked to the professor, who then said, "No class today. Can the following students come up, please?" The professor called her project group up. Most students left fast, but some stayed, their phones out. They were in the room making a video of all that was going on. Abby and her crew stood in front of the teacher, the dean, and a young lady who stepped up. "Abby Robertson, come here and face me." Abby looked upset, but didn't move. "Abby Robertson, come here," the dean said, looking mad. "Abby, come here, Miss Robertson, now," the dean repeated sternly. Abby moved, feeling her legs get weak. The young lady gave Abby an envelope. Abby took it, but wasn't happy. "Abby Robertson, you have been cut off," the paper said. "This says that Mark Carl Robertson, who was your dad, doesn't see you as his kid or heir anymore. Do you get what this means?" I don't know what's going on," Abby said, feeling lost. "Just tell me, yes or no." "Do you get it?" the young lady pressed. "Yes, I get it," Abby replied, feeling shaken. "Good," said the young lady as she handed Abby another envelope. Abby didn't want this one. She felt like running away, her eyes wide. She saw the dean look at her as if he didn't like her. He nodded at the envelope in the lady's hand, indicating Abby to take it. Abby's hand shook as she took it. "You have been served," the woman said. This says you broke up the marriage of Mark Carl Robertson and Alina and Robertson because of what you did. Do you get what this means? Tears filled Abby's eyes, and she shook. She felt sick. Say something to the lady, Miss Robertson, the dean demanded. I get it, Abby said, her voice shaking. One by one, the rest of the group received their own bad news. Someone even threw up. It was all on video, including when the dean told them they lost their school money. Without it, they couldn't stay in school. He told them to get a lawyer fast, then he and the teacher left. The mean lady stayed behind with Abby and her crew. She was icy. Mark Carl Robertson wanted you all to know that what you do comes back at you. You're going to feel the sting for the mean and hurtful things you did to his life and him. I wish I could see you all get what you deserve for hurting him so bad. You're the worst, she said, and stormed out with her friend who was filming. They sent the video to Mark. He watched it with Captain Dumbarton, tears in his eyes. He didn't want to do it, but you get what you give. The captain watched with a hint of a proud smile. 3 weeks later, Lillian was ready in her office meeting room for Alina and her lawyer to show up. Alina picked Charles Baker as her lawyer. Lillian had beaten him in court many times before and couldn't wait to do it again. When Alina, Abby, and Charlie walked in, led by Lillian's clerk, you could tell Alina and Abby were scared. Charlie acted all big and sure of himself. What a joke. Ready to start? Anyone want coffee or water before we get going? Lillian asked. Charlie wanted coffee, like always. Abby asked for water. Alina stayed quiet. Okay, Lillian said, handing out a piece of paper to each person at the table. This talk is being taped. This paper shows Mark Robertson picked me to speak for him when he's not here. Take a look, please. As they got their drinks, Charlie glanced over the paper while Alina and Abby took their time reading it closely. Lillian then gave Charlie the folder. You'll want to go over this with Alina. Inside, there are videos, voice clips, and texts, plus written proofs where Alina chooses to break their marriage in a very hurtful way, Lillian explained. Alina spoke up. Call me Miss Prescott, Mrs. Robertson, and talk through your lawyer, Lillian replied sharply. She handed Charlie another big folder. This one has videos and written truths from 4 kids who told the story of how Abby, with her mom's full help, planned to ruin Mark's marriage and hurt him on purpose. They all said they'd talk against them in court. Charlie, you're also helping Abby in her fight against Mark's decision. Yes, that's right, Charlie said. Well, good luck, Lillian said with a cold laugh. But really, just drop it after you see what's in these folders. We'll see, Lillian, but we need to talk about how your side will help Mrs. Robertson until the court date, Charlie insisted. A phone rang, and Lillian hit a key on her laptop. The big TV screen behind her lit up with Mark's face, but the picture was fuzzy and kept cutting out. Mark was there, big in the frame, but you could also see soldiers close to him. One, a lady, had her hand on his shoulder. Hi, Mark, sorry for waking you. Thanks for being here, said Lillian. It's okay, Lillian. What do you need me for? Mark asked. I need to make sure of something, Mark. Do you still want to go through with the divorce just like you said before? Lillian asked. Yes, as I said. I'll give her nothing. She can search garbage for all I care. Just end this, Lillian. Get that woman out of my life for good, Mark replied coldly. I will. Next, do you still want to go ahead with those court cases you started before you left? The ones against people for ruining your marriage? Lillian inquired. I do. All of them. Show no kindness, Lillian. Make them pay for what they did. All of them. Mark's voice was resolute as he looked right at Abby. Abby went white with his anger and almost stood up, but her mom kept her seated. All right, Mark. Last thing. Have you thought again about cutting ties with Abby Robertson? Lillian asked. No, that person is dead to me. Are we done, Lillian? I've got a busy day. Just do what we agreed on. You have my okay to go on without me. Thanks, Mark, said Lillian. Mark smiled at that. Yeah, he said, pointing to the tough captain next to him with his thumb. Not much choice with her always by my side. She's strict, but she's keeping me in one piece. But you've got to like her, she's looking out for me. Mark shifted back a little, and everyone in the room could see he had a gun and a holder across his chest. Alina caught her breath when she saw it. Mark, where are you? What are you up to, Mark? Mark's face turned into a frown, and he hung up the call. Alina turned to Lillian with fire in her eyes. Where is he, Lillian? Where on earth is my husband? Tell me. Don't I have a right? No, you do not, Mrs. Robertson, Lillian shot back. Mr. Robertson made it clear, call me Miss Prescott. You two are split up, you're not in his will, so you've got no say in his matters. I can tell you some things, but after what you did to him, don't talk to me about rights. Tears ran down Alina's face as Abby too started to cry, shocked by her father's tough stand. Lillian, please. He's in trouble, isn't he? What's he up to? Where is he? Bring him back, Lillian. I love him, please. Lillian was boiling inside. She wanted to grab Alina and shake some sense into her. Alina's lawyer just sat back, taking it all in, sipping his coffee.